All right, back in our Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 World Tour. This is our third part of episode number 8. Our flight on Friday, January 16th, 2026. We are almost to the end of the Dominican Republic. If you look at the map, we are we'll probably get there by the end of the flight. Maybe we'll land at MDPC, that airport you can see on the tablet there, but if not, maybe we can get to one of these small islands. That would be Puerto Rico over there. I don't know if we can make it all the way there, but we'll give it a shot. We are now going to be listening to today's episode of the Tony Kornheiser Show, Friday, January 16th. Please subscribe to this podcast. It's great. It's mostly about sports, but also about Tony Kornheiser just complaining about things, but it's entertaining. So let's get to our podcast of the day, or of the episode.
Hey, it's Tony. On today's show, we'll talk to Jason La Canfora about John Harbaugh moving to the New York Giants, also about what he expects to see in the playoff games this weekend, plus James Carville and Jeff Ma will call in with their weekly picks. But first, let's do some commerce.
Avoiding your holiness cares a lot more about the White Sox, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. White Sox fan is
By the way, that's the Pope as American sports fans. You know, there's a lot of weird stuff happened in 2025. That's the best story of 2025 for me. I love this guy. I love his obsession with baseball, and every time he interacts on sports, it makes me smile. We've got the Pope.
Yeah.
We've got the Pope caring about football. Take that, Rome.
The Tony Kornheiser Show is on now.
We are reunited, the three of us in the studio today.
I'm back. Yes.
Michael was gone. Michael had jury duty. Do you want to tell us how it went?
Sure. So for those of you who do not live in the D.C. area, you get called for jury duty here about every 2 years. You get the notice about 2 months in advance, and then the week of, you get another reminder. Then the night before, you call in. And I would say half the time that this has happened to me, I get the automated message that you are not required to show up. And then sometimes you are, and you have to report by 8 a.m. And you sort of sit in a big room with a couple of hundred other people, and then they call various jury potential pools to go into a courtroom to go through the voir dire process. This has only happened to me one time before. Up to this point, I was 1 for 1 being called into the process and actually ending up on a jury. This one, you end up answering, I think it's about 15 questions that the judge puts before you about your, relationship to the case, any of the lawyers who might be in attendance, any of the witnesses who might be called, the judge, him or herself, and your relationship to some of the beliefs that might come up along the way. So I ended up being called to the bench, and something that has changed, and the D.C. courthouse is much more modern than I remember. It's a very nice waiting room now, but you get called up to the bench, and they have this electronic buzzing noise. And it's so jarring.
Keep your words from being heard by everyone else.
Correct, because you're trying to create this. You want to create a
deliberate
panel that has that is going to be as impartial as possible. So this is supposed to be something between just you and the lawyers present and the defendant in this case. But it's hard to think. You hear this when other people are going up there, when you yourself are going up there. It's hard to actually track your words and your line of thinking. So
because of the noise.
Yeah, because of the noise. So I end up talking to the judge. I end up being dismissed after that conversation. One trial, 1 day. So overall, a very good service experience. I did my duty. I went down there. My one issue is I just wish it was easier to get there. So there's no parking that you could really handle in a legal way. Even if you want to go to a lot, it's blocks away. So it's just, if you didn't have the 8 a.m. report, it'd be easier to take a bus to get to the metro to get down there, which would be, a slower induction into the process. But man, it's tough to get down there.
And they pay you a ridiculously small amount of money for your time. It's like $4 or $6. And your transportation to and from is triple and quadruple.
I had a great Uber driver on the way down. I actually listened to a local radio station where I got to hear some commercials by one Kevin Sheehan.
Yes. That's great.
It's my Sheehan voice.
So you don't have to go back for 2 years.
Well, that's what you think. You never quite know.
I don't have to go too old.
Yeah, you've been
70.
Yeah, you get away
70 is cut off. Yeah, no. I mean, even if you get called, you just write back, I'm too old, and then say fine. And I would argue with the assumption is that you reach a certain age, that age being 70 specific, and you can't handle it anymore. So I would argue with that.
Can't handle the truth.
It's okay.
Now, so the tough thing for me is I looked around, and again, you're trying to create a jury of your peers. You're trying to create a snapshot of where we live, and I had this realization that I have switched demos. The last time I was down there, I was young professional of a certain age, idealistic, and now I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm a father of 3 with a graying beard and thinning hair.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of assumptions about me.
Yeah. Well, there were the same assumptions the last time you were there too. They're different assumptions, but there was a set of assumptions.
Yes.
All right, in sports news, Kyle Tucker is going to the Dodgers, not the Mets. He's going to make about $60 million a year. There's no point in arguing whether he's worth it. That's not the issue here. The issue is who got him. The Dodgers got him. And there are going to be a lot of people, like Mike Wilbon, who will scream that the Dodgers have too much money and they own baseball and something has to be done. And I would look the other way. I'm not a Dodger fan. I grew up as a Giants fan. I don't like the Dodgers. I admire the Dodgers, don't love the Dodgers.
I think that captures it perfectly. I admire them more the older I get.
Yeah, I really admire them. And you know why? Because they have all the money and they spend it wisely. They don't miss.
Well, yeah.
They don't miss. They get the right guy. They know what they're doing. The guy running the club, Andrew Friedman, used to get the right guy for Tampa, which had no money.
Zero money.
And now that he's got all the money in the world, here are the results. 2 World Series in a row, champions. You're going to bet against them this year? You'd be crazy to bet against them this year. Kyle Tucker's a really good player. The judgment isn't whether he's worth X amount of millions of dollars. The judgment is, does he help this team for whatever they're paying? He does.
Do you find it interesting that at $60 million a year, he's not even the highest paid man on his team?
Well, Tani makes billions and should.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. I'm not going to begrudge him any of that.
all of it. He doesn't take a dime.
And I think
he'll be the richest man in the world when he retires.
New Balance commercial explains it all.
Oh yeah. So that's Kyle Tucker. I wanted to tell a quick. Before I tell a quick story. The renderings for the new football stadium inside the line in Washington D.C. have come out. It's beautiful.
It does.
It's going to be domed, but it's going to be domed apparently with a clear dome, which is really a nice idea.
The long shot towards the Capitol?
Yeah. I mean, they're all in succession. They're all in a line. The Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial, the football stadium.
It's got nice callbacks.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks like RFK. The flow of the top looks like RFK. This is very deliberately done. It's very deliberately done with consultations by the ownership and the architects. The architects are the same people who apparently have built the Viking Stadium that everybody loves.
Oh, yeah.
And SoFi, which everybody loves. Everybody loves them. And I can't imagine that the ownership of the Washington football team did not say to these people, we're building it at RFK. We want it to look like RFK. We want to wake the echoes of a great franchise that is no longer great. We want to deliberately go out there and create nostalgia for who we used to be and where we used to do it, because it's owned by people who grew up here. It's unarguable, right?
No, the reverberations of We Want Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is it going to bounce? I doubt it. I've been there when it stands bounced. That's lovely, but probably dangerous. And so I don't think it's going to bounce. But that looks great.
So I don't have a lot of memories of RFK. They're just sort of, they're snapshots, they're images that are sort of half hazy.
I covered games there for about 20 years.
But I just love being a DC native where everyone will tell you their own best way to get down to RFK on game day.
Yeah. It's, you're going through neighborhoods. It's easy.
Would it have been possible to just lift up FedEx Field or whatever they call it now, and just keep it whole?
Stadium.
Keep it whole.
It's a dump.
Metro accessible.
It's a dump.
It's the worst stadium.
Okay, it's a slapdash dump.
Yeah.
And I don't blame Dan Snyder for this. This is Jack Kencook. This is Squire.
Yeah.
This is
Ralph
not
John.
Dan Snyder. It's not Dan Snyder. Now, people stopped going to it in the last 10 to 12 years because they hated Dan Snyder and they hated the building.
Yeah.
The building's hateable. The building had raw, flowing sewage in the suites. Come on.
Expired beers.
Come on.
Yes, all of it.
Off.
Yeah.
Just awful. And it's going to be there for 4 more years because this thing's not going to get built till 2030. Doubt I'm going to make it, but...
It was an easy stadium for divisional rival fans to get to, at least.
Yeah, well, that was
that.
convenient for the enemy, yes.
Well, for the last, again, 8, 10, 12 years because of the hatred of Snyder and the hatred of the building, there were generally more fans from the opposing team than cared about the Washington team. Generally true. Certainly true with Philadelphia. Certainly true with the Giants. Certainly true with anything that you could get here pretty quickly. So, I had a water bill problem. I'm just going to explain the water bill problem as quickly as I can. I get a call.
This is DC or Rehoboth?
DC. This is not the thing that happened the other week with the water where they did an aerial view of my house and decided to charge me $125 more per month, not for water, but for the Clean Rivers Act,
For your impervious acreage.
Yes, it's not about that. This is the actual bill. I get a call, and I will say that I was very grateful to get a call from DC Water saying you're in arrears. We sent you a bill and you never paid the bill. And I looked up in my checkbook and I said, this is the number of the check and this is when I sent it, December 27th. And they said, we didn't get it. I said, well, what are my options? I said, I'll give you credit card number right now, pay the bill right now. They said, no, we can't take that. We cannot take a credit card. You have to go online. I go, oh, no. I go, too old, don't understand it, can't go online. They said, that's all you can do, or send us another check. And there's a penalty. There's about a $20 penalty for late fees. But when I was talking to the person from DC Water, she said to me, well, the next bill, we will subtract what we have added for late fees.
And maybe,
yeah, because we can see that you're a good customer who pays on time. And I said, look, here's the problem. I sent this out in the mail. The United States Postal Service did not deliver it to you. I did not deliver it to you. They did not deliver it to you. So I don't think I should be charged anything. And they said, well, we can get it. I said, I understand that, but why? So it falls on me. And not me, Tony Kornheiser. It falls on everybody when this happens. I go, I'll live with this. I call my bank. The bank says, that's right, that one was not delivered. They said, we'll put a stop order on it for $35.
Good.
I go, oh, wow. So again...
Getting you every way, yeah.
Again, I sent it to the normal way that I send it, and you're telling me that's going to cost me $35. They said, yeah, that's our policy. I have no choice but to eat it. I mean, I have a choice.
You could take the risk, but
I could take the risk,
yeah. The penalty then could be much greater than $35.
It could be what it
sure that checking account or whatever it is,
$175.
No, even more than that. If they're sort of ripping off the account numbers and have access to everything.
So I didn't do it. So I took the $35 hit.
So it's a $55 hit total?
Total, but supposedly I'm going to get about 20 back.
Now I would say at this point, if they had not already gotten access to that account, it probably just got lost in the shuffle.
That's what I think too. But I talked to the bank. And I say, well, can you make this whole for me? Can you just send this money? I give you permission to send it out of my account. No, you have to go online. You have to go online. This is disenfranchising a sizable amount of people in the United States of America who either A, cannot go online because they don't have the facilities to go online, which is true. Not everybody has phones, not everybody has computers. Or two, they're disenfranchising people like me that I don't have any idea how to do this. Carol goes down to the bank and they say you can go online, and then they say, but we don't advise you to go online. There's too much of your information exposed. Don't go online. The bank is telling us you can go online, but we recommend you don't go online. It's the truest. We don't recommend we don't go online. So we did what we thought was the correct thing to do, which is write another check and go to the post office and get return receipt requested. Make it certified mail.
Right.
So you can at least prove you sent something. You may not be able to prove you sent it for X amount of money if they never get it, but you'll be able to prove it has to be signed for. So you'll be able to prove that someone is in possession of it. That's what I do with estimated taxes.
Oh, sure.
Return receipt requested. This $10 a shot.
So now it's...
if it happens...
Might be time to learn how to go online.
Yeah, if it happens consistently, it's another 10 all the time. It's another 10 all the time.
Yeah.
Plus the 35 for stopping
I'll
the
handle
check,
your online...
plus the
20.
penalty.
I'll handle the online billing for about $15 a month.
You'll do it for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, I should probably do that. But I'm sure this will resonate with a lot of older people who say, I don't want this. Well, and my other point was, what is the point of me having a credit card
If you can't.
if I can't do this with you, can't do this over the phone like I do with, I don't know, 89 other things? Why? And then it's not our policy. People hide behind the word policy.
Oh, of course.
And you can't. I asked to talk to a supervisor. I got a supervisor. The supervisor told me to go scratch. And that this is our policy.
Yeah, I think this is a way to protect themselves so that they're not liable if something happens in that the exchange of the numbers. Whereas if you type in your own credit card number and the expiration date, you're on the hook. Versus if someone else is
and
on
I
their
get
side
all
typing
of this.
it in.
I'm just saying that in this particular case, I did exactly what I've done for 100 years and did it with all good intentions. It didn't get delivered. You know why it doesn't get delivered? Because there's no real mail in it.
No.
There's just junk mail and
catalogs.
Postal carriers don't even care anymore. They don't even care. Everything is email except what I want.
Yeah.
Except the bills that I want.
I just have this image of you walking to like a local library to get help, going online to pay your water bill.
It's just absurd.
The shared computer typing everything in.
I thought of the two of you, one, because I didn't think you'd be able to do this. Michael, I think you've done this. Something I did the other day. I got a check in the mail. It was cold and I didn't want to walk to the bank. So I did take a photo of it and deposit it through my phone.
I'm afraid of
Make sure the background is dark enough for contrast.
Yes, I had to do
I'm so afraid of that.
Yeah, I
don't trust that. Liz does it all the time, and it shows up immediately in your account.
Yes, it was very spooky.
Who are the people that come and fix everything here? And we have Sherman is in Delaware. Who are the people in D.C.?
Oh, do you sometimes use Crop Medcalf?
Crop Medcalf. When Crop Medcalf comes over, they're always great. At the end, I go, okay, so how do we pay this? And I'd like to write a check. And I go, sure, write a check. Then they take a picture of it. And then just give me back the check. And I go, what just happened? What just happened? How did that happen? How did that happen?
I don't know how it works, but it does apparently. Yeah.
All right, those are my stories. Why don't we get to real sports? We'll talk to Jason Lock and Foro when we return. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This episode of the Tony Kornheiser Show is brought to you by Wild Grain. Having a little bakery magic in your freezer will absolutely make your day. Try their sourdough breads, maybe some pastries. You'll find their flavor and texture are incredible. Baking them takes less than 25 minutes, which makes it so easy to enjoy fresh, warm bread even on busy nights. Wild Grain is the first bake-from-frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and fresh pastas. Everything is made with simple ingredients you can actually pronounce, slow fermented for better digestion, and packed with nutrients and antioxidants. No preservatives, no shortcuts, just real delicious food. Their boxes are fully customizable. It's a nice word. You can choose the variety box, gluten-free, vegan, or their new protein box. There's nothing like having an artisan bakery in your freezer to chase away the winter chill. And now is the best time to stay in and enjoy comforting homemade meals with Wild Grain. Honestly, once you try Wild Grain, I think you will love it. Right now, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off your first box, plus free croissants for life. For life, when you go to wildgrain.com/TonyK to start your subscription today. That's $30 off your first box and free croissants for life when you visit wildgrain.com/TonyK, or you can use the promo code TonyK at checkout. I read that straight. I didn't make any comments. I'm waiting till the end to make the comments. This stuff is great. Michael, I had croissants, you had croissants, I had muffins. The stuff is great.
That's great.
You stick it in the oven. When it's done, it's fabulous.
It makes your house smell like a bakery.
Yeah, this stuff is really good. Wild Grain. I mean, I feel they wrote the ad. I should read the ad and then I should comment.
Yeah.
What did the kids loved it?
Kids
right?
loved it. They had the chocolate croissants, but I love this idea for dinner. This is the season of go to the freezer, see what you have.
It doesn't take that long to do, and it's really good. It's really good.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
The NFL playoffs are here, and FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the playoffs, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. Pick the matchups you believe in, take your shot on an upset, or build a parlay that fits the moment. Then apply your profit boosts and go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Must be 21 for G and Cabo. Hope is here.
This is a song called When Am I Gonna Be Okay? It's by a woman named Emily Siebert, who says, I'm an independent artist based out of Brooklyn. I'd love to submit one of my songs for consideration to be featured on your podcast. We're happy to have it.
Yes.
When am I going to be
Delighted.
okay? Michael, if independent artists like Emily Siebert want to get on the show, how do they do it?
Send us your music by emailing it to jingles@TonyKornizersShow.com. And as you check out the remaining sales at Johnny O, we can't double up with codes, but TK Gutter still available.
That's what I do. Put it right in the gutter.
Gutter
The
ball.
small little ball right in the gutter. Plays in Jason LaConfora. I don't know where else we can start. I just think that you got to start with your thoughts on John Harbaugh going to the New York Football Giants. What do you think about that? I think it's good for the Giants, but is it good for John Harbaugh?
Yeah, I think so, Tom. I mean, look, there's whatever, eight openings, or I guess that includes the Ravens, so whatever, there's 7 outside the Ravens. All those teams are going to want an audience with him. They weren't all going to get an audience with him. There was interest, obviously, in the Giants. There was interest in Atlanta. I think he would have heard out Miami under different circumstances and maybe heard out Tennessee, but that would have been it. And really, in all likelihood, I don't think he was going anywhere other than the Giants or Atlanta. And one of those teams has, right now, a viable quarterback, and the other, doesn't really. I mean, look, I think he can go to Atlanta, won the division with Cousins next year. Penix comes back in the middle of the year, whatever. And then you obviously still may have to sort out something long term, but I don't think that was a far-fetched proposition. But a wise man who's done this forever, and by done this I mean represented people who, are top coaching candidates and placed them. Wise man said to me a long time ago, look at who, especially with a candidate of this stature, whoever they talk to first or whoever they talk to last, that's probably where they're going. And in this case, there was only one team that got the full-fledged, live audience with John Harbaugh, and it was the Giants, and they made a full-court press and a very compelling case, and they were always going to be probably in the final 2, no matter what. And it was compelling enough, and it was, comprehensive enough that he's ready to cast his lot there, and didn't really feel like he had to, go through this much longer, which is kind of how he's wired and his own brand for him. I know there's a lot of people saying, going from the Baltimore media to the New York media, like it's going to be very different. When's the last time they had a full-fledged, bona fide, proven adult coach of the New York Football Giants?
Tom Coughlin.
Right. This guy's going to get such a long leeway.
Yes.
Like, people are going to be, like, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt for, I believe, a long period of time. And the idea, he can be a little bit abrasive and all that. It's New York. As long as he wins some football games, nobody's going to care. And when he does mix it up with the media, and boy, I'll mix it up with him plenty of times, there's usually a phone call a couple days later or whatever. He understands people. He understands the dynamics that go into this. He understands how to clean up messes. I think he'll be a rock star up there, to be honest with you. And I look at that division, and I mean, McAdoo won the first year, right? Cabo won, I think, the first year. If I could win the first year, but then also, back it up. I'd be interested to see if Joe Shane, the GM, is there in 2027, 2028. I suspect maybe not. I think he will get a level of power and control there that he didn't have in Baltimore. And, I think people in New York are doing backflips right now, and I understand why. And just because he was no longer the right coach for the Baltimore Ravens, which I don't think he was, does not mean he wasn't the best option for a quarter of teams in the league right now that are looking for coaches.
Let me get to this thing that you can't win without a good quarterback. are we to assume that he looks at Jackson Dart as a long-term fixture there and he's the quarterback?
I think he's certainly hopeful that he can pick up where he left off and he can avoid the types of, absences that were very much a part of the Jackson Dart rookie year story. And there's a lot to like about that young man and the way people gravitate to him, the different energy, sort of verve that team played with when he took over, the way guys on the defense respond to him, and then obviously his ability. He has playmaking ability. He has natural athletic prowess. And look, Hugs also knows he's bringing a lot of his bandwidth. It's not like this is a complete reboot. He knows who he can delegate to and how he can delegate to them, and a lot of those individuals are coming with him. And Todd Monken with Jackson Dart, it feels like a natural. It feels like a super smart coupling. He was just coaching kids in the SEC a few years back and doing it in Georgia as well as anybody. He had Lamar Jackson at his best season ever. His two best seasons ever with Todd Monken. So, and Todd can handle it. Todd's great with the media, and he gets it. And he's not like one of these guys who's just infatuated with being a head coach. Like, maybe it happens for him, and maybe not, but he's going to be focused on the task at hand, which is maximizing Jackson Dart. So, yeah, if you're not sure who the coordinator is, and you hope you get this guy, you hope you get that guy, I think the fact that he knows he's walking in the door with Todd Monken made him immediately feel like that, whatever that quarterback situation is, whether it was the best one out there or maybe the worst one out there, I can start making it better day one because Todd's with me.
Here's my pushback, okay? 4-13 this year, 3-14 last year, 6-11 the year before. 13-48 the last 3 years. I watched people on television yesterday talk about how the Giants would be immediate contenders to go to the playoffs. And my response was, you're not walking into managing the Yankees here. You're not. They, other than Coughlin and Parcells, the Giants stink for the last 40 years. Not as bad as the Jets, nobody is. But you're not walking in here to a surefire deal.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but you've got to, if he wasn't going to sit out a year, which he wasn't.
Right, he wanted to coach. He wanted to coach right away.
And this is the field. And if you look at the field, again, I think Atlanta's the best job.
Right.
I think Atlanta, I think you can win in that division next year with Kirk Cousins.
Bad owner,
right coach.
Bad owner. Bad owner.
I don't know if he's a bad owner. I don't know if I think he's got some blind spots for sure, but I saw him keep paying Matt Ryan when he probably shouldn't anymore. I've seen him continue to give Thomas Dimitroff a lot of money to spend at times when it's like, why don't they just reboot already? I think that owner, especially at this stage of his life, would have given John Harbaugh anything he wanted, and I think John Harbaugh just preferred
the Giants
right now.
I agree. I agree with that.
But yeah, I think Atlanta could be a better look. I don't think that ownership group in New York has left a lot to be desired for a long time. I don't think this immediately cures their ills. And again, I think Atlanta was more of a blank slate on the personnel side, which would have appealed, if I were John, to me greatly, rather than having to deal with someone who already is kind of lame ducky in Joe Shane. So, yeah, I don't think it's slam dunk, but I think he will. I think he will steward them in a way that they're playing respectable football. They got to fix their defense, and we're going to see about his defensive side of the staff because he's had plenty of woes there lately. But there's some talent there, and are the Eagles a juggernaut? Is Sirianni coaching that thing in 2 years? I don't know. Washington's got a ton of question marks, and the Cowboys will never win as long as Jerry Jones owns them. So I don't know, man. I think that division is kind of there for no, it's not as wide open as the NFC South, but I don't know that I'm going to sit there and crown the Eagles right now and say that's absolutely their division next year.
Okay. All the games this weekend, is there one you're sure of?
Ooh. Sure of. I mean, I think Seattle wins this game, and I think it's a low-scoring game, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know that they blow this game at home to San Francisco. We have, you know, the full Sam Darnold meltdown that some people are fearful of, and I understand why they're fearful of it. But I don't think it plays out that way. I think their defense is too good. I think San Francisco is too beat up. I think, you know, San Francisco could win that game, you know, potentially 13-12 or something like that. I mean, I have a lot of other leans and you know, things that I like. You know, I expect the same kind of thing from Houston. They win. It's a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
You know, it's a rock fight. They're a little bit more equipped to win the rock fight as long as, again, Stroud has that, like, he can't do what he did last week. You know, you got to hold on to the football, son. Like, we got to start there. We got to have a baseline of, you cannot put the ball on the ground 5 times and throw it to the other team a couple of times and think our defense is that, you know, generational. But I think the superpower in that game is Houston's defense. And they're built to win on the road. Their road games average 35 points. And they've been winning a bunch of them and covering a bunch of them. And I think they're going to be able to, you know, produce that sort of an outcome. I mean, I really like the Rams, but I also know it's going to be extreme cold.
Yeah.
And I wish that, like, I don't believe that whatever was going on with the tip of Stafford's finger is a complete nothing burger. And I know he wasn't receiving medical attention at the time, but sometimes there's not much you can do for those kind of things. But that gives me a little bit of pause. Like, I think he'll go out there and be Stafford, and I expect the Rams to win that game. But if they don't, I think I already know. You know what I mean? I already know why. Balls are sailing, and it's even harder for him to control it because of the weather, and there's something really kind of messed up with his finger. But, you know, I like the Rams-Texans Super Bowl when the field came out, and I think I think and hope, my wallet really hopes, Tone, that vision is still alive 3 days from now.
I will say this, that weeks ago on this show, I asked you, I looked at the Baltimore, this is when the Fire Tomlin thing started, and I said, what do you think? Do you think both are back next year? Do you think one is back next year? Or do you think both are gone next year? You said, both are gone. And I said, what? What? And you had that right. You did. You had that right. Good for you. I mean, you had that.
They definitely weren't both coming back. One of them was probably gone. And, yeah, I thought the most likely outcome is both those teams, which they're always paired. It's just so crazy how they're always at the same sort of, like, their timelines are always aligned. They really are mirror images. Yeah, I thought both would be conducting head coaching searches for the first time in about 20 years.
20 years.
And, of course, because it's so incestuous, their list will end up being very similar because they are similar in some ways.
So,
although I do think it's interesting. The Steelers owner is actually going to meet with all these candidates, and Bisciotti's going to stay on his yacht until they whittle it down to 4, and then he'll get involved. Because, you know, he's got other stuff.
The Steelers owner probably doesn't have a yacht. Plug Wanabet for us. Plug Wanabet.
That's one way to look at it. Hey, yeah, we've got all our plays this weekend in the NFL. A lot of them we've already given out on Wanabet. It's a daily, 7-day-a-week sports wagering game show. Myself, Beltway, Ben Hall. We give you all of our favorite plays in all the markets that we are gambling in. We tell you why we bet them. We tell you how we've been doing in those markets. We show all our work. We track every bet. We tell you how up we are, how down we are at times. Right now, we're up. And we seek plus money value. We're not trying to parlay a bunch of minus 400 things together. We're trying to come up with strategies that inherently attack the books in some ways where maybe they're a little vulnerable. So, again, soccer, basketball, baseball futures right now. College, pro, everything. If you're going to wager, maybe, you know, give us 30 minutes. Don't wait better. I try to entertain you. You can watch or listen. It's available at wannabetwithus.com. You go there, you can get links to all of our content. But thank you guys, as always, for your support. We continue to get emails from Littles who found us through you guys, and we sincerely appreciate it.
We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
Jason La Canfora, boys and girls. We will come back with James Carville and Jeff Ma. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
This is the Tony Kornheiser Show.
Well, you wake up in the morning, boy. You hear the ding-dong ring. Then you look upon the table, boy. You see the same darn thing. You find no food upon the table, boy. There's no fork up in the pan. But you better not complain, boy. You get in trouble with the man.
The Midnight Special, Paul Evans. It's the play-in music for James Carville, who was not 6-0 last week as he was the week before, but who had both overs right in the college games and then fell down in the pro games. Ended up 2-3, but 53, 50, and 2. All three humans, not our ape, all three humans are above 500. And, you know, depending on what happens in the last couple of weeks, it's a real chase. This week's picks, excuse me, with James Carville and Jeff Ma are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Do you want to reflect upon last week or just move ahead to this week?
No, I want to reflect because it is all my fault. I made the dumbest rookie mistake you can make. If you remember, we 6-0. We had both college over under, so we 8-0.
Yes.
And the Packers are 19 up, and I sent the most jackass text in history.
No.
It looks like we got this one in the bag.
Yeah.
Sports guy for 70 years. You think I'd know not to mouth myself?
Yeah.
It's all my fault. It's like Lee after Gettysburg. It's all my fault.
Well, I'll just tell you that it made Wilbon happy. It made Wilbon happy, and I wondered if, you know, I know you picked Jacksonville, and a lot of people picked Jacksonville, but I wondered if you talked to Luke about that, and if Luke was unhappy that you went against Buffalo in that game.
Well, a man's got to be ruthless and merciless in his pursuit of winning, you know, so
right.
Bob Gibson, he's doing his own granddaughter.
Yeah. All right, what do you got this week? What do you got?
What I got? We got spaced out. First of all, 49ers, Saturday night, getting 7 points at Seattle.
Yeah.
That's what you call the common sense contrarian bet. Common sense will tell you to bet on Seattle. But
yes.
The contrarian method says bet on the 49ers.
Well, I would say because just a couple of weeks ago, Seattle smothered them in Seattle, so that's what I would worry about. So you're going to take the 49ers?
I would too. But you got to have the courage to go against common sense.
Okay.
I like the Rams-Bears over 48.
You like over in the cold and the wind?
I do. And I like the under in the Indiana-Miami game.
The under in Miami's Indiana scoring.
Unders are torturous.
Yes, Indiana's scoring 100 points a game by themselves.
Well, not Miami's. You see what Miami's defense is?
It's good. It's
really
good.
On the side plays.
It's good.
Yeah.
So
it's good football weekend.
So you're going to take the under on Monday night, the under 47.5, and the over with the Rams and the Bears on Sunday night. That's the late game, I think.
Yes.
That's
right. So you got the Saturday night late game. You got San
Francisco at Seattle. All right.
But I remember, I killed it. 8-0, 19 points up. It looks like it's in the bag.
Yeah.
I mean, that means you're in the toilet when you do that.
Yeah. Thank you, James. The best of luck, as always.
Take care.
James Carville. And we have Jeff Ma with us. And Jeff had a bad week last week. Uncharacteristically bad week. We'll get to that in a second. He was 1-4 last week, and he has opened the door to Chuck Todd and James Carville to maybe catch him. It's going to be hard. Jeff would have to have a couple of bad weeks in a row, and they'd have to be great. But suddenly, it's not a 3-horse race, but it's no longer Secretariat against Sham. It's no longer that. It's no longer 35.5 lengths going to the wire. Jeff is with us now. Unlike you, you had one winner. You had Indiana -3.5. You could have had them at -25.5. But you didn't get Ole Miss right, and you didn't get the Bears right. You had the Packers in that one. You had Jacksonville. You had Pittsburgh +3. That was the one that sort of confused me a little bit. Take us through the anxiety of having a 1-4 week.
I didn't sleep the entire weekend, and no, I mean, these things happen. And what's funny is last week I felt good about the picks. I mean, I when I bet Philly. When I bet Green Bay in that game, and I had them roughly at even. They ended up minus 130, meaning like they became a pretty big favorite. Similar thing with Jacksonville. Ole Miss also was. You look at how the line moves at the close of the game. Yeah. And that's kind of how you evaluate your process. Essentially, like if you bet something at -3 and it closes, -5, you feel really good about your opportunity. You don't always win in those cases, but in all these cases, I beat what is called the closing line. So if you beat the closing line, that's typically how you evaluate your process. Like, because if you beat the closing line more often than not, you will win. It doesn't mean you will win all the time. And again, in the case that you go back to this. It happens, and so yes, it was tough. Obviously, going into that Pittsburgh game, which when you look back on it, given the turnovers and whatnot, Pittsburgh probably should have lost that game by even more. Yes. And they were never really in that game. No. They didn't have the game plan that I thought they'd have. They looked very old, and Houston unleashed an offense that we haven't seen them have. So. Similarly, in that Buffalo game, we talked about the only reason you bet on Buffalo in that game is Josh Allen, and that was what happened. Josh Allen, he did it. And the Pittsburgh, probably the game that bothered me the most was obviously Green Bay, Chicago, because
you're up 21-3. 21-3 at the half.
He looked dead. And I was looking forward to a disappointed Wilbon, but it didn't happen. So.
And now Wilbon's out in Chicago today. Yeah. He's going to go to the game. I hope he takes his shirt off because it's going to be 8 degrees. I hope that works out for him. But the Packers should have won that game comfortably. That it is. I don't know how you figure this, and I don't know what you think about this if you are doing this professionally. The Chicago Bears have won 7 games this year while being behind in the last 2 minutes of the game. That seems to me not just extraordinary, but unbelievable. Do you factor that in when you bet on those games?
Well, you actually do factor it in, and it's almost like a knock against the Bears, because ultimately one of the reasons that the Bears feel overrated is because of how many close games they've won. A lot of these close games can be, like coin flips. And if you think about even Kansas City is a team this year who historically has won the close games at a very high mark, and this year they did it, so that was kind of the difference. And so, I think you expect regression at some level, and you expect that the Bears won't continue to get, the throw that Caleb Williams made in that game, rolling to his left, throwing it all the way to Roma Dun, that was incredible. And how often is he going to be able to make that pass that way? I don't think that often. So, again, to spoil alert, I like the Rams this week because I don't think the Bears can keep it up.
Yeah, okay, let's do the picks. Well, before we do the picks, let me just say this, that we had Booger McFarland on PTI yesterday. And what he said about Caleb Williams rings true to me. That, don't look at the numbers, don't look at all the times he gets in trouble. He has it. He has that special quality. He's got it. I think that's possible that he does.
He's got a lot of talent, right? When he was in college, we all believed that he had almost the same amount of talent that Mahomes might have. And then, he had a weird senior year and then a weird rookie year. And the talent is there, right? So it's whether he's got that leadership. The leadership narrative is a little bit of what we'd call confirmation bias, meaning all of a sudden now, because he's winning, people see something that they didn't see in him before. I think he's a very talented player. He's basically has a lot of the same skills Mahomes has. He's not quite as accurate, but he can make these incredible plays. And those highlight, I've probably seen that play on Twitter 16 times because of how big a play it was.
All right, what have you got? Tell us what you got.
All right, we'll start in the NFL. We'll pick all the NFL games. Seahawks, even -6.5 or -7.
I see it at -7.
Yeah, I'm going to take that -7 against the Niners. This line opened at 6.5, went up all the way to 8.5, and is now kind of back down to 7. I'm surprised that it came back to 7. I just think the 49, this rest issue is huge. And, we talk about it in college not mattering, but in the NFL, it still matters a lot. Like time off for these guys, a week off is huge. The Niners are completely beat up, and, obviously this is a really tough spot for them. So I like Seattle -7.
Okay, what else?
I'm going to take the Broncos, obviously -1 or even against the Bills. I don't know what you guys have, but, the narrative now would be to continue to say, like, okay, the Bills are the favorites in the AFC because they're by far have the best quarterback. I'm not falling for it, and ultimately I think that the Broncos are pretty much better at every position except for quarterback and running back, and by a considerable amount. At home, again, getting rest, I'm going to take the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you bet Buffalo, you bet him because you are just in love with Josh Allen, especially after last week, and you think there's nothing he can't do. But Denver's been real good all year. Real good all year. So that's -1. We've got that at -1.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
I'm going to take the Texans. I'm a Patriots fan, so this pains me to say, but I think that defense and their ability to get pressure with 3 or 4 guys is going to be a lot for Drake May in this spot. Obviously, May has been incredible all year. I also think that the Texans have an ability to have a higher ceiling if C.J. Stroud plays well, and he despite the fumbles and despite some of the brain dead things he did in that game, he played pretty well. And they had a running game that we haven't seen. So I think that as an underdog here. Getting 3 might be 3.5 points, but when it's all said and done, I'm going to take the Texans.
I understand that. Their defense is really, really good, and defense travels more than offense travels. I understand that. This is a game where I would, I don't know what the over-under is, but I'd be inclined to take the under in a game like this.
Over-under,
it's probably real small, probably in the high 30s.
A 40.5.
Yeah. What do you think, Jeff? Would you be inclined to do that? That's a real low over-under, 40.
Yeah, it is low, and, it's priced in. I don't know how the weather will be. That's obviously a big determinant.
Yeah.
But, the New England Patriots were the team with the most explosive plays in the NFL.
Really?
So you get 2 or 3 of those explosive plays, and all of a sudden, that was one of the interesting matchups with the Chargers because Minter's defense is out there trying to prevent. What they're really good at is preventing explosive plays, and they didn't really get any explosive plays in that game, but they slogged their way through, and the Chargers couldn't do anything on offense, so they ended up covering pretty easily.
Okay, and the Rams, you're going to take the Rams. What are they minus? -3.5?
They're -4.
-4?
I'm seeing it -3.5 now.
I'll take the 3.5 for sure.
You will.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are a team that obviously the first half of the season was the best team in the NFL, like a historically good team, and everyone thought they were head and shoulders better than everyone. They've definitely stumbled a bit. That game against Carolina, I think, gave everyone pause for calling them potential Super Bowl favorites. So
they should have lost last week. They should have lost in Carolina. They should have. They're not. And I had picked them for the Super Bowl when we had to do that on PTI about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I'll stand by it. But I thought they were going to lose to Carolina again. Did.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I think that's a situation again, like where. If Puka Nacua catches that ball at the end of the first half, is that game different?
Yes.
And maybe it's considerably different, and that's a ball he probably catches 95% of the time. There was pretty bad wind, so a lot of this can depend on weather. If it's just cold, it shouldn't be a big deal, but if it is windy there, that could have a really big impact on Stafford and the Rams.
That's why they call it the Windy City. That's what they're expecting. All right, college game. You're going to pick the college game, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the college game. Indiana's a team that we've talked about since the beginning, being, the sort of, like sneaky favorite, and what they did against Oregon was pretty incredible. But I'm going to tell you what's interesting about this game. Before that game, before the Indiana-Oregon game, when we knew it was going to be Miami against someone, Indiana was slated to be favored by only 5.5 points. Based on that win, that line popped at 7.5, meaning like there were 2 points of value that introduced by Indiana beating Oregon. And then all of a sudden, it's up to 8.5. And it's just hard for me to believe that win should really have moved that line, 3 points when so much of that blowout, obviously Indiana looked amazing, but so much of that blowout was based on Oregon's ineptitude in turning the ball over. And, 21 points were literally delivered and handpicked to to Indiana. So I am going to take Miami plus the points, plus the 8.5, because I just think that they had to inflate this line so much because of how good Indiana looked at Oregon, and I think that performance was a little bit misleading in how bad that blowout was.
In your mind, do you think Miami can win the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, if you gave me Indiana minus 5.5, I would take Indiana. But at 8.5, I'm at 8.5. I'm going to take Miami. So I mean, obviously they can win. They probably have 25% chance to win this game. But I would take Indiana 75% of the time.
It's interesting because Miami has 5-star blue chip recruits. They got real players there, and of course Indiana doesn't. I'm rooting for Indiana just because it may be the greatest college football season of all time if they finish undefeated, and they have been so terrible for so long. To have this 2-year burst like this to culminate with 16-0, and they're pounded. Their plus minus is 374, Jeff. 374.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week. We said like if there was a different name on the front of their jersey, if it said something like Alabama or Ohio State with this kind of performance, they would have been favored by, close to a touchdown probably against Oregon. And now that is what you're seeing here. There has been that reaction. So, again, like betting is a market. You're betting into a market, and when the market is high on someone or almost too high, that's when you've got to go the other way, and that's why I'm taking Miami.
All right, thank you, Jeff. We'll talk next week. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Okay.
Jeff Ma, boys and girls. Our this week's picks with James Carville and Jeff Ma have been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more, and we will come back with Email and Jingle, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
Here comes Tony's mailbag. Got your emails, faxes, and your notes. Here comes Tony's mailbag. Gonna read some for all of you folks.
That's Denise Graves. We talked about her the other day. She's
Yes.
one of the great opera singers in the United States of America.
Just amazing
Lovely
voice.
to have that.
Yes.
You want to do the Bethesda Bagel ad for us?
Yes, Bethesda Bagels. We love them. You will as well. Just go to BethesdaBagels.com for the location in the D.C. area nearest you. Then pop on in and you'll be thrilled.
And before we get to the mailbag, let me just say, just take those old records off the shelf. I'll sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul. I like that old-time rock and roll. That's Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. It's a great song. Great song. Thanks to our guests today, Jason Lockenfora, James Carville, Jeff Ma. Thanks as well to today's sponsors. Remember, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Odyssey. Get the show through Apple. Please leave us a review.
I love that she held up the ceremony for the second graders to arrive and get
it's her
seated.
daughter.
Was that great?
Yeah.
From Sean Bach, from Jenny's Splendid Ice Creams in Columbus, Ohio. We know that Tillamook is currently the heavyweight champion of your freezer and your heart. Actually, it's McConnell's coffee.
Yeah, McConnell, yeah.
But here at Jenny's Splendid Ice Creams, we believe we've created a worthy challenger. We're getting ready to release our brand new coffee ice cream in celebration of Breakfast for Ice Cream Day on February 7th. Before it hits the shelves, we wanted to get a few pints into your hands specifically so you could test them out over the kitchen sink. Could you let us know the best shipping address to send a preview package to? Isn't that great? We'd love to see if this new batch has what it takes to share the podium with your current favorite. How do they listen to the show? How does Sean Bach
Well
know the
done,
show?
Sean.
Yeah.
That's really
Good work,
good.
Sean.
Let's get sent to the main address.
From Papa Thiam, I saw these allegedly unbreakable and almost impossible to lose thanks to the string golf tees and a report on the local news about a 16-year-old French boy designing and 3D printing golf accessories from his bedroom in his parents' house. His products are sold through France's largest sporting goods retailer. He likely has a bright future ahead after high school. Made me want to send him a few bucks even though I don't play golf, so I thought you and Michael might like to try them. Also got a couple of his carpet mounts just in case. Don't laugh at me if this is all stuff you can pick up anywhere for other makers. I don't play golf. And this is from Papa Thiam. Why do I feel like I'm buying influence in Washington right now? They are unbreakable tees.
They're very cool.
And you say that you use them a lot in a simulator room.
So if you're at various sims, you have to use something that's non-marking. So this looks like it'd be appropriate for like a hitting off of a range mat in a simulator. Looks
yeah.
Very cool to know that they were 3D printed though from a kid.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't make bombs. He'll do that.
Yes.
Claire Guns. Claire Natola, Delaware, Ohio. Each holiday season since 2017, Littles have come together to raise funds for charity. Please give my sincere thanks to all the Littles who donated $2,491.06 last month to Rocco's Warriors. Over the last 9 years, Littles have donated over $23,000 during our holiday drives. Doesn't include money we raise during the special events like Little Palooza. At other times of the year, Littles continue to demonstrate their generosity is second to none. Speaking of Little Palooza, everyone should save the first weekend of June for the next Little Palooza in the D.C. area, June 5 through 7. Planning is well underway, so stay tuned to the usual social media channels and to Chuck and Roxy's loyal little podcast for details. From Andy McBride, I've attached a few songs for you. This is the Mixed Apes.
Yes.
We didn't get to this the other day. The first one I think might work for your episode. Groundhog Day is often overlooked holiday that deserves a little more attention, not because of the rodent, but because it celebrates one of the greatest characters in film history. Our band, the Mixed Apes, dedicated a song to the incomparable Ned Ryerson. Attention must be paid, and if we're so lucky to get one song on, why not press our luck for a couple more? So these are...
Yes. We didn't play the Groundhog Day, the Ned Ryerson song, but I'm holding that for
a couple weeks.
Yes, it's worth it.
Astronaut news. Paul Wade in Columbia, Missouri. Long-time listener, 6-time emailer. I understand the new connective tissue is whether you've met an astronaut. In 2017, I was selected to be a Pat Tillman Scholar. It was a real honor. I didn't understand just how small it would make me feel. At the time, I was a Purple Heart awardee and former airborne qualified infantry officer who served 3 deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, completed an MBA at Benedictine University, and was entering my last year at law school at the University of Missouri, made famous when its marching band had a rendition of the Mailbag theme played on this very show. Among the many people I got to meet at my first Tillman Honors weekend was Johnny Kim, a Tillman Scholar himself, but also a Navy SEAL who I believe at the time was finishing up at a little school called Harvard Medical before heading off to NASA to start training for his next job, astronaut. There was an optional running group every morning. I happened to be next to Johnny and another Tillman Scholar who'd been a Green Beret, and while running, they were talking about having to learn different languages. Apparently, Johnny had to learn Russian to be able to work on the space station. All I could add to the conversation was it seemed like a lot of work just to get a better view of Uranus. Johnny Kim was a really nice guy. You can follow his journey on a lot of social networks if you're interested. He just got back from space last month. Barry Scanlon, Alexandria, Virginia. If still collecting random astronaut legend encounters, I worked for a Clinton cabinet official and attended the Clinton Library opening ceremony, which was outdoors, brutally cold, and pelted by a merciless driving rain. VIPs and idiots like me alike got drenched and frozen and back into shuttle buses. As we got back to the Capitol Hotel in Little Rock and quickly bought dry clothes in a gift shop that made us all look ridiculous, we sat down with an older couple from the bus to eat soup. It was tough to know who was with who with all the hoodies. We all casually recounted the event and ate our soup. The random guest even gave me his bread and crackers. Wondering who these people were, I arched an eyebrow and got this response from the boss who says, "That's Senator and Mrs. Glenn." Perhaps the most humble and friendly legend of all time. From Fred Nauer, Minneapolis, Minnesota, first time, long time. Just heard on your high-quality podcast about a John Glenn sighting. Here's mine. When I was in second grade in 1962, my dad worked for 3M, the company that made the material the spacesuits were made of. He got a piece of material to bring home. He gave it to me so I could bring it to school for show and tell. He told me this was the material that John Glenn's spacesuit was made of. Later that day, he got a call from my teacher saying, I told the class I had a piece of John Glenn's spacesuit. It was a story that made into family lore and talked about for many years. Fast forward to 1991, through a North Carolina college flight school I'm attending, me and a group of students found ourselves at the Mercury Dinner in Washington, D.C., a dinner that raised money for scholarships and to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Alan Shepard's spaceflight. 6 of the Mercury 7 astronauts were in attendance. I bought a piece of shiny material with me. As luck would have it, John Glenn walked by our table. I stopped and told him the piece of John Glenn's spacesuit story. Got him to sign it, thus bringing the floor full circle. Tell Paul, great deed.
Well done.
Tom Munch. I've listened to all of your shows for years. I'm a former teacher and coach of your friend Rob Stronach. Well, the astronaut meeting game has finally gotten me to email. My son Bill has done a documentary, The Artist and the Astronaut. He has interviews from Alan Bean, Jerry Carr, Gene Kranz, Frank Borman, many other astronauts and astronauts' wives. Excuse me, the film has won many honors and is on Amazon. It centers around Jerry Carr and Pat Music. I believe Rob gave you a link to the film. Bill did all the interviewing, editing, and production. His friend Todd Hobbin did the score. Took 8 years to make. He became friends with all the astronauts. I hope the littles will give it a look. Thanks for being the medicine we need to keep us moving forward. Tom Mensch, pronounced Minch or Mensch, either Minch or Mensch. Bob Gray, Prince Edward Island, that's in Canada. I can't wait to jump in on the astronaut game, being a total space nerd. NASA texts me when the space station will be visible overhead on Prince Edward Island. I'll run out in the cold and snow just to watch it travel across the sky. Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield commanded the International Space Station for 5 months in 2013. He video called into schools across Canada all during the flight, speaking live with thousands of students, answering questions and talking back and forth. Also, he sings and recorded a cover of David Bowie's Space Oddity, Ground Control from Major Tom, from space. It and the subsequent video were huge hits worldwide. Oh yeah, all he does is write best-selling mysteries now. He's a household name in Canada, a huge inspiration hero. I met him at one of his school video calls. That's got to count, right? Chris Hadfield has so much of the right stuff. It's remarkable.
That's amazing.
Dan Chase, Asheville, North Carolina, in the late 90s, at my high school, North Carolina School of Science and Math. One of my friends was laid back and talented Christina Hammock. She was into photography, good music, and got along with everyone. And in 2020, the International Space Station orbited through the sky over my home. I went outside and jokingly waved hello to it from my lawn. That night, I did a little research and discovered that my old high school buddy is now named